Our top story tonight, a multi-vehicle attack on ICE in Chicago. Homeland Security reporting that agents were rammed by vehicles and boxed in, with one attacker carrying a semi-automatic weapon. And the governor of Illinois says the Trump administration's giving him an ultimatum. Today, Japan's ruling party elects a China hawk and staunch conservative as its next leader, which likely makes her the nation's next prime minister. While we may soon see Hamas release prisoners as steps toward an end to the war, anti-Israeli attacks are on the rise, including one in the UK. A Middle East expert digs into the causes behind these attacks. Meanwhile, in baseball, the playoffs continue today with 8 teams in action and Shohei Ohtani on the mound for LA. NTD's Dave Martin joins us to discuss. A doctor of traditional Chinese medicine shares the link between the body's energy flow and mental and physical health, and why he calls modern medication for depression a Band-Aid solution. And a French mountain bike champion conquered the Eiffel Tower's 686 steps, setting a new world record.
This is NTD Evening News, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Arlene Richards. An attack on ICE agents in Chicago. Homeland Security reports that agents were rammed by vehicles and boxed in by 10 of them in what she called an evolving situation. Homeland Security official Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement that one of the drivers, a woman, was armed with a semi-automatic weapon. She said law enforcement was forced to fire defensive shots at a U.S. citizen who drove herself to the hospital. The armed woman was allegedly named in a federal bulletin last week for doxing agents. McLaughlin says no law enforcement officers were seriously injured, but said the Chicago Police Department refused to assist them in securing the area. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said she's deploying more special operations to control the scene. We'll bring you more updates on the situation as they come. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says the Department of War gave him an ultimatum to call up the National Guard or they will do it. Pritzker called the order outrageous and said it's un-American to demand a governor send troops, quote, within our own borders and against our will. He said the administration intends to activate 300 National Guard troops. He added that there is no need for the military on the ground. A shutdown in Washington, a breakthrough on drug prices, and an executive order on pediatric cancer this week brought high-stakes decisions and sharp divisions. NTD's Daniel Monahan has your White House week in review.
The federal government shut down after lawmakers failed to agree on a spending deal, sparking finger-pointing across party lines.
If the Democrats did not vote to shut down the government, we would not be standing up here talking about layoffs today.
If this shutdown continues, this will be on the Republicans.
They prioritized taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal aliens.
The political leadership, not every Democrat nationwide, but the political leadership of their party has got it into their heads that the only way to be compassionate is to be compassionate to illegal aliens rather than American citizens.
Not $1 of Medicare, Medicaid, or ACA is allowed to go to undocumented immigrants.
President Trump signed an executive order to harness American AI innovation to unlock cures and prevention strategies for pediatric cancer.
No family should have to fight cancer with outdated tools or without access to the very best science.
16-year-old Carolyn Hendricks, a pediatric bone cancer survivor, praised the move.
What you're doing today, Mr. President, means that kids like me will get better options and so much more hope for the future.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and President Trump addressed America's top generals and admirals in Quantico, Virginia, vowing sweeping changes to the military.
No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions.
These people don't have uniforms, but we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly.
President Trump made a deal with Pfizer that could bring down drug prices. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. credited Trump for his doggedness and perseverance.
This is something Democrats have wanted for 20 years. Republicans have wanted for 20 years. Everybody said they're going to do it. Nobody has even taken a step towards doing it.
According to an HHS report last year, Americans currently pay nearly 3 times more for brand-name medications than places like Canada or Europe. Transport Secretary Sean Duffy had the historic Christ on the Water painting moved to the basement under the Biden administration, put back to its place of prominence at the U.S. Merchant Marines Academy.
Could we bring Jesus up from the basement? Let him rise! Bring him up!
Pope Leo XIV suggested this week that those who support what he called the inhuman treatment of immigrants in the United States may not be pro-life. The White House said such inhumane treatment is not occurring under the Trump administration.
There was, however, significant inhumane treatment of illegal immigrants in the previous administration as they were being trafficked and raped and beaten.
Federal agents launched operations in Memphis this week, making 53 arrests in the first 2 days and seizing 20 illegal firearms, including 3 at a murder suspect's home.
The idea that there is a square inch of block in this city where a citizen doesn't feel safe is unacceptable.
If you touch a law enforcement officer, it is a crime and you are going to jail.
More on crime. FBI Director Kash Patel gave an update on the 3-month Operation Summer Heat, where the FBI teamed up with local law enforcement. The action netted over 8,600 arrests and 2,300 guns seized, and almost 45,000 kilos of cocaine and over 420 kilograms of fentanyl, enough to kill 50 million Americans, were taken off the streets, speaking with Armstrong Williams.
We have to attack the criminal enterprises where they start and their entire spiderweb of networks across the country.
And new U.S. tariffs on pharmaceuticals, trucks, and home goods took effect this week. President Trump says they'll strengthen domestic industry and protect American jobs. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
And an update on the Middle East. President Trump announced this afternoon that Israel has agreed to an initial withdrawal line in Gaza. Should Hamas confirm the line, a ceasefire would begin immediately, followed by an exchange of hostages and prisoners. Trump went on to say they would then create the next phase of withdrawal with the objective of bringing an end to the war. The announcement came via social media with a picture of Trump's map showing Israel's approximate lines of control in the Gaza Strip. It's day 4 of the government shutdown, and lawmakers have made no progress in negotiations to fund the government. Reductions in the federal workforce are imminent, and the House has suspended vote until the Senate breaks the deadlock. Our Washington correspondent Luis Eduardo Martinez has the latest from Capitol Hill.
All around the country right now, real pain is being endured by real people because the Democrats have decided to play politics. We have troops and TSA agents and Border Patrol agents who are working without pay, protecting the country. And you have FEMA services, health insurance policies, for example, that are being stalled in the middle of a hurricane season because the Democrats want to play political games and try to obscure the real facts at issue.
Senate Democrats have voted for a 4th time against a bill that would extend current levels of government funding and end a shutdown. Democrats who are in the minority in the House and the Senate have demanded that their healthcare policy priorities be approved and parts of the Republican reconciliation bill be repealed for them to support any effort to reopen the government.
The fact of the matter is that the big, ugly bill, as Trump has continued to implement it, is absolutely gutting healthcare research all around this nation.
Republicans have agreed to negotiate with Democrats on healthcare policy, but not while the government is shut down. Republicans have rejected repealing parts of the reconciliation bill they passed earlier this summer that closed the loophole that allowed for illegal immigrants to access taxpayer-funded healthcare.
We challenge them. We challenge them to tell us why they're not trying to give illegal aliens healthcare again when they put it in their own bill.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is facing criticism for past comments he made regarding government shutdowns. As early as March, Schumer rejected government shutdowns.
What if I persuaded my caucus to say I'm going to shut the government down? I'm going to not pay our bills unless I get my way. It's a politics of idiocy, of confrontation, of paralysis. Shutting down government over a policy difference is self-defeating. We can never hold American workers hostage.
The pressure is now on rank-and-file Senate Democrats. There have been already 3 Senate Democrats who have broken with leadership to support Republicans to reopen the government. Those are Senator John Fetterman, Angus King, and Catherine Cortez Masto.
We have a majority of senators, 55 senators, have already voted for this clean, short-term, nonpartisan CR. As the Speaker said, no policy riders, no gimmicks, nothing in here that benefits Republicans. This is a straight-up 7-week funding resolution, and we need it to keep the government open. And
the Senate will vote again on Monday on a continuing resolution to reopen government. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Luis Eduardo Martinez, NTD News.
Today, Japan's ruling party elected a China hawk and staunch conservative as its next leader, which likely makes her the nation's next prime minister. Security Minister Sanaya Takaichi defeated her moderate rival by 185 votes to 156. The victory makes her Japan's first female party president and almost certainly its first female prime minister. Takaichi is an admirer of former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and a protege of the late Shinzo Abe, who was assassinated in 2022. Her win is expected to reassure her party's nationalist base, but may complicate diplomacy with China and South Korea. China's foreign ministry reacted cautiously, calling the outcome, quote, Japan's internal affair. After her victory, Takaichi called for unity and renewal inside a party battered by scandal and electoral setbacks. Coming up, a discussion on the recent anti-Israel attack in the UK and the terrorist ideology behind it. As the anniversary of the October 7th massacre in Israel approaches, anti-Israeli attacks around the world seem to be on the rise. This week, 2 people were killed in the UK at a packed synagogue. Why have anti-Semitic attacks escalated over the past 2 years? What is the root of the problem? Joining me now is David Wormser, a Middle East affairs analyst at the Center for Security Policy and former senior advisor to U.S. Vice President Cheney on the Middle East and strategic affairs. David, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So these attacks have been on the rise worldwide. Just in the U.S., the Anti-Defamation League reports that anti-Semitic incidents increased by 140% in 2023 over 2022. And even in Australia, they rose by 316% from 2023 to 2024. So why has there been such a significant rise?
Well, yeah, the numbers are awful. We're seeing a dramatic increase. And one has to also remember, it's not just the rate of increase, it's also hate crimes as a whole. These anti-Semitic hate crimes account for the vast majority of them. So it's not just that it's increasing, but the raw numbers is astronomical compared to any other hate crime. And yet Jews in, say, Britain represent less than 0.5% of the population. In the United States, only about 2% of the population, and it's over 50% of the hate crimes in many cases. So it really is an epidemic, and it's been rising gradually for 10, 20 years, but especially in the last few years. I'd say 2014, 15 onward, and especially since around 2020. What accounts for it? That is a really good question, but more likely than not, what you're seeing is the perfect storm of various political forces and Western leadership, specifically European leadership, and to some extent earlier American leadership being AWOL on this issue. The perfect storm is you see radical left ideologies are whipping up anti-Semitism. They're combining with the Islamist pro-Palestinian crowd. And they're tapping into, especially in Europe, some of these neo-fascist crowds. And all of them sort of bend back to the Cold War, the Soviet Union using these things. But we're really seeing money from the old KGB, money from the Communist Party, money from Qatar, Turkey, and so forth, an organization. And it's unifying all these various organizations and movements into what they call, not we, but they call unity of fields. And it's all coming to a perfect storm now.
Well, you talk about hate crime and the radical left, and we are told that this outrage is rooted in religious doctrine and a belief by Muslims that Israelis have taken their land. But these attacks seem to be now more about eliminating Jewish people, and it's being carried out by an Islamist terrorist movement. So what's the connection here?
Well, as you point out, it's there is, in Islam, there is a feeling that there should be a superseding of Judaism and also Christianity. But that doesn't mean they all go out and they kill Christians and Jews. What you do see in places like the United Arab Emirates is a very tolerant form. What we are seeing is a very specific, well, not very specific, but a body of Islamist organizations, all anchored ultimately to the Muslim Brotherhood, some to Iranian Islamist movements, Ahl al-Bayt and so forth. But right now in Europe, what we're really facing is mostly the Muslim Brotherhood-based organizations. We know that the Turks and the Qataris have spent quite a bit of money and organizational effort to try to radicalize the Arabs and Turks who are and Pakistanis who are expatriate in Europe. So I think you're beginning to see the fruition of this sort of a aggressive effort by the Muslim Brotherhood, which is not the entirety of Islam, but it is a specific brand of Islam. And they have in them a very literal reading of Muhammad's killing of the Jews in Khaybar and the demand in the Quran to find a Jew behind every rock and kill him.
So you were talking about this connection between the Islamist terrorist movement and the religious doctrine, but I want to move on again here because you also mentioned communism earlier, and these terrorist movements have been directly linked to communism. So Hamas, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, they all received this direct training and operations from the former Soviet Union and now from the Chinese Communist Party. So talk to us about communism's part in this radical Islam.
Well, sure. You mentioned the Chinese Communist Party. We know, for example, that one of the big funders of these campus riots in the United States, which is part of this phenomenon, which, by the way, is also Antifa, funders of Antifa and the same ones that led to Charlie Kirk's assassination, the CCP is involved with that. So this is really a global effort by the former Soviet Union, Islamist organizations, and the CCP. Now, the communist connection is such that you got to go back in history, but bottom line is when World War II ended, the Nazis had this tremendous network of subversion, which the Soviet Union inherited. And they took it, they built it up, they added a great deal more, transformed it, and then they collapsed. And it sort of spun into various different pieces, but it's all still out there. And the Islamist movement, whether it's even the Iranian Revolution to some extent, had some roots in Soviet intervention. So it's natural for the Chinese Communist Party and the remnants of the KGB to work with all the various terrorist groups that they've spawned around the world, as well as the subversive groups, whether it was the Nuclear Freeze movement, the Green movement in some cases, Antifa, and so forth. These are all part of the information structure that the communist world has employed. And now, again, the core of this global coalition that's trying to destroy the West from within, because they understand from the outside is very difficult. So they're trying to rot us and destroy us and divide us from within. And that really has a very strong overlay of Chinese and Russian and Qatari, unfortunately, influence.
Now, a survivor of the attack on the UK synagogue gave his opinion on what he thinks needs to happen to prevent or reduce these attacks. So let's listen to this.
I think the main thing needs to be a cooling down of the media coverage over Gaza. I've never really felt safe. Britain, I think, has always been an unsafe place to live for a Jew. At the age of about 10, as a Jew, I've had stones thrown at me.
So, David, what role does the media play in these increased attacks, and how can Jewish citizens feel safe in their own country?
Well, the media in Europe especially is rather stilted. We in the United States have the advantage of having things like NTD News and Newsmax and some other organizations and channels or Fox News that present a different view than, say, CNN does. In Europe, you really have a monolithic news structure that is very anti-Israeli, and it whips up a great deal of anti-Semitic sentiment with that. And then it's reinforced by politicians. In the United States, most Americans are pro-Israeli, and both parties have strong factions within them that are pro-Israeli. And certainly the Republicans, even by and large, the vast majority are pro-Israeli. In Europe, there is no real pro-Israeli faction that's large, or there are certainly factions, but there's no, it's not like 70% of the spectrum. When you poll Americans, they're very pro-Israeli and even more so very friendly to Jews. In Europe, that's not the case. So between the politicians essentially tapping into the Islamist fervor to get elected, like Macron or Keir Starmer in London, and the active incitement, really, of the BBC and European news structures, you've got, again, on the news side, on the public side, a perfect storm that goes together with the subversive organizations unifying their fields into a perfect storm.
Now, Hamas has agreed to release all of the hostages in response to President Trump's 20-point plan, but they've made it clear that they intend to be involved in the discussions about the future of Gaza. So have we got a peace deal here, or could we see a new re-energized Hamas return to their terrorist ways in the future?
Oh, excellent question again. Right now, the proof's in the pudding. In the first couple days, they have to release all the hostages, and they're already playing games with that. My sense is that Hamas is trying to buy time to survive and to return and to keep the pressure and throw the ball back into Israel's court, because they know public opinion is going against the Israelis. The war's gone on very long. President Trump is beginning to tire of it, and legitimately so, and so forth. So they know time is on some ways on their side. So they're trying to drag this out. They haven't really agreed to any of the terms per se, the way they're outlined. But they did say they agreed to the first one, which is to release the hostages. And so that both President Trump and now the Israelis have seized on. And they said, great, if you're going to go ahead with this, the war will stop for the moment until you can safely get the hostages released. And the Israelis will wait and see. And we may see the first phase beginning to be implemented. But I'm dubious that by the end of the week, it's still going to be on the railroad tracks. Because Hamas just doesn't want peace, and it doesn't want to give up all the hostages. It wants to maintain its power in Gaza, and it wants to retain its weapons in Gaza so that in the future it can do another October 6th, which is, of course, what President Trump and Israel are trying to avoid and have made clear through this agreement they will not tolerate.
Well, both sides are at a standstill in terms of, Hamas having power over in Palestine and keeping all of the land. David Wormser, a Middle East Affairs analyst at the Center for Security Policy. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Coming up in baseball, the playoffs continue today with 8 teams in action and Shohei Ohtani on the mound for LA. NTD's Dave Martin joins us to discuss. And a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine shares the deeper cause of depression on the level of the body's energy. That and more when we come back. Now for your sports news, we're joined by NTD's Dave Martin. Dave, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, Arlene.
How's things going today with sports?
Well, it's a busy day, but it's a good busy. I don't mind having to watch 4 games at once, multitasking.
Not a bad day, right? For starts.
It's a tough job. Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. But we also have some bad news, which is also tough. We've got NFL former Jets quarterback and current Fox Sports commentator Mark Sanchez in the hospital. What happened there?
Yeah, Sanchez was stabbed in Indianapolis last night where he was going to be part of Fox broadcast crew for tomorrow's game. It was a Colts versus Raiders game. Now, Fox Sports said in a statement Sanchez is listed in stable condition and is currently recovering. Now, earlier this afternoon, the Indianapolis Metro Police Department said in a statement they're investigating a, quote, physical disturbance between two men that took place at approximately 12:30 a.m. One man received lacerations while the other received injuries consistent with stabbings. But about an hour ago, this case took a bit of a turn. Indianapolis police announced they've arrested Mark Sanchez at the hospital for battery with injury, unlawful entry of a motor vehicle, and public intoxication. All three are misdemeanor charges, and investigators say no further individuals are being sought in this case. Sanchez, though, is still at the hospital. He has not been booked yet. Now, Sanchez was a first-round pick back in 2009 of the Jets, 5th overall pick, played 8 seasons for 4 different teams. So he last played in the NFL in 2018. That was for the Washington Redskins. So whatever happens, of course, we hope for a speedy recovery for all involved. But yeah, it's case took a bit of a turn today.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked. He's still a sports commentator currently?
Well, I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard any updates from Fox Sports. So yeah, he's not planning to do the game tomorrow. They already announced that.
Sure.
But I haven't heard from. We've heard from the police for this latest thing, but we haven't heard from anybody else regarding.
So he's in stable condition.
Still in the hospital. I assume he's still in stable condition. We have not gotten any updates for his actual condition.
Well, I hope he has a speedy recovery.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to shift gears now to the baseball playoffs. The divisional round begins today, and you've already been watching the game. So what's going on in baseball?
Well, the Brewers already beat the Cubs this afternoon 9-3. The Cubs actually started this game off with a leadoff home run from Michael Busch. Let's take a look at what happened here. Milwaukee scored a franchise playoff record 6 runs in the bottom of the first inning. They got 3 more than in the second to make it 9-1. They really just cruised from there. They won 9-3. Now, they were off all week. One of 4 teams that got a first-round bye. You never know if they're going to come out flat or not. They definitely did not. I think they had 13 hits. So they lead this series 1-0. It's a best of 5. But that's just, one of 4 game ones today. The second one's still in progress. Yankees versus Blue Jays. Blue Jays were up 3-1 in the 7th inning last I saw in that one. And then starting in the few minutes, we've got the reigning World Series champion LA Dodgers will take on the Phillies in Philadelphia. Shohei Ohtani will be the starting pitcher for LA opposite Christopher Sanchez. Now, Ohtani will also be hitting, of course. And then finally tonight, Mariners host the Tigers. That game will be starting at 8:30 Eastern Time. So we got 4 game ones today in the divisional round, which is really the second round of 4 rounds in the baseball playoffs.
So when is this going to end? Baseball has been a long season, hasn't it?
They started back in March, if you remember.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So I think they're planning to have the season end by the final week of October, maybe first week of November.
Wow.
So yeah, we got a little ways to go, but we're finally to the exciting part, Arlene. All right.
A lot of baseball, man, I'm telling you. I want to talk about the NBA news. How about that? So Lakers star LeBron James is going to be entering his record-breaking 23rd season. Wow. And he's not signed beyond that. So what's happening there?
Yeah, he is not, like I said, he's not signed for 2026, 2027 season. He will turn 41 this December. Now, last season, he had probably the greatest season in history by a player who turned 40 years old. He finished in the top 25 in points, rebounds, and assists per game, as he's done for most of his career. Now, he was asked about retirement earlier this week. Here's what he had to say.
I'm excited about today. I'm excited about the opportunity to be able to play the game that I love for another season. And, whatever the journey, however the journey, lays out this year, I'm just like super invested because like you just said, I don't know when the end is, but I know it's a lot sooner than later. So, being super appreciative of the fact that I could come up here, do another media day and talk to you guys and do all the stuff around here. So just excited about the journey and whatever, this year has in store for me. But as far as me weighing in on, him and some of my other teammates of how far I go in my career now. It would be literally my decision along with my wife, and two of my boys are already gone. Well, one of them is somewhere around here. Yeah, Bryce is down there in Tucson, so he's out the house. So it'll be a decision between me, my wife, and my daughter. Like, that's not even. It won't be, hey, having a meeting with my teammates. It won't be that.
Yeah, so the regular season tips off in about 2.5 weeks. That's on October 21st, the Tuesday, with two star-studded games. We got the Lakers versus the Warriors, and the NBA champion Thunder take on the Rockets.
You hear what he said is his son is out the house now, so he doesn't get to be involved in the decision making.
His daughter is still part of it,
She's
though.
still there,
Yeah, so the daughter and the mom, they get to be part of it. Not his son.
Not the son.
Who's a teammate of his, actually.
Pretty funny. All right, let's look at college football today. We've got a full slate of action, a number of games. There's already been some finished already. Where are we standing at there?
Yeah, plenty of games on. Some have finished, just like you said. Let's start in the Big Ten, though. 20th ranked Michigan beat Wisconsin this afternoon, 24-10. The Badgers actually led 7-0 in this game early on. Now, Wolverines overwhelmed, pretty much the Badgers from there, nearly doubling them in total yards. Michigan with the win is now 2-0 in the Big Ten. Tied for first. Wisconsin falls to 0-2, though, in conference play. Let's look at some more scores here. 12th ranked Georgia. They had little problem with Kentucky today. They won 35-14 there. Bulldogs now 2-1 in the SEC after losing last week to Alabama. In the Big 12, Cincinnati upset 14th ranked Iowa State 38-30. Cyclones suffered their first loss of the season. Cincy looks pretty good here. And back to the Big 10, 22nd ranked Illinois wins at Purdue 43-27. Illini now 5-1 on the season. Now going on right now, we have one of the games are involving two top 25 teams. 10th ranked Alabama is playing 16th ranked Vanderbilt. It's a very close game, 20-14 Bama in the fourth. And this is actually at Alabama. Then tonight, probably the biggest game, 3rd ranked Miami at 18th ranked Florida State. Hurricanes have wins over Notre Dame and Florida thus far. Florida State beat Alabama, meanwhile, earlier this season. That game starts at 7:30 Eastern time. So as you can tell, I've got a very busy evening ahead of me.
Yeah, and college football just started along with the NFL, right?
Yeah, college football started, pretty much they start end of August, pretty much. NFL starts beginning of September. So those leagues just beginning. Baseball after 7 months finally coming to a close.
All right. Thank you so much, Dave, for the updates, as usual.
Thank you, Arlene.
All right. A physical attack is easy to identify, but what about an attack on your body's energy? Seen from the perspective of traditional Chinese medicine, what we call depression has deeper roots in your body's energy flow. In this episode of Vital Signs, Dr. Jingduan Yang, an American psychiatrist and doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, joined Brendan Fallon to discuss the link between the body's energy flow and mental and physical health.
For millennia, what we call depression and other mental distress have been seen by traditional Chinese medicine, aka TCM, as problems of energy flow interruption, and hence the use of systems like acupuncture to treat them through stimulating energy flow. As these methods gain scientific validation, we see them integrated more and more into Western medicine, with acupuncture even being used by the US Air Force for battlefield pain management. But what is the body's energy flow as understood by TCM? Does it overlap with the energy our cells produce from food? What would cause this energy flow to be disrupted to bring depression and mental distress? And what can be done energetically and even on a deeper emotional level to get things moving again? Today, I welcome back Dr. Jingduan Yang to lend his wisdom to these and other questions of energy and mental health. Dr. Yang is a psychiatrist and integrative medicine doctor who combines Western medicine and holistic medicine. He also represents the 5th generation of his family line to practice TCM. Welcome to Vital Signs, where we learn how to get healthier from all angles, from the biochemical and nutritional to the things we do that nourish our minds and our souls. I'm Brendan Fallon. Dr. Yang, fantastic to have you join us on Vital Signs again.
Thank you for having me, Brendan.
One of the main reasons I wanted to ask you on, Dr. Yang, is a comment you made about how important the energetic aspect is to our mental health. And I know you look at health from this 4-dimensional model of biochemical, structural, energetic, and spiritual. But for starters, I'm interested to know a snapshot of where the energetic aspect fits in to this four-dimensional model that you have.
Thank you for the question. And if we really think about what depression is or what depression manifests, we can look at, decreased interests and have lack of the ability to feel the pleasure, and then the fatigue and the lack of concentration and change of appetite and trouble with sleep and have some passive or active suicidal thoughts and feeling shame and guilty and blaming self and so on and so forth. If you look at all these symptoms, they are manifestation of problem with either thoughts or feelings or physical activities. And this is all really manifestation of energy. And the thoughts are energies, the feeling emotions are energies, and the physical behaviors and energy levels. So they're really a problem to begin with, is manifest as energetic level. So when we are facing energetic problems, we have to understand that from the energetic level. Of course, the modern medicine started, relatively new, and it started by understanding human anatomy and the body structure, which is great, which is important that we understand how the human body is made of and materialistically. And the second is about chemistry. So we began to understand a lot of nuance of the biochemical ingredients and the biochemical process and what involved in the biochemical balance. And that's where we understand that now the psychiatry almost like therapy-wise downgraded from understanding it from the spiritual and energetic level to the biochemical level. And now we prescribe a medication that disrupts the biochemical process to generate artificial effects to make people feel different, and which works for some people. But in the long run, the chronic use of biochemical intervention that is caused by energetic problems and even spiritual problems, and will not going to give us long-term benefits.
It's kind of a Band-Aid solution for many
Yes,
people.
Band-Aid solution, and also it can cause new problems.
To see that full interview and others on how to optimize health, go to ept.ms/vital signs. Vital Signs offers general health information not intended as medical diagnosis or advice. Please consult your doctor before undertaking a new health regimen.
Coming up, a French mountain bike champion conquers the Eiffel Tower's 686 steps, setting a new record without touching the ground. David Vives brings us more from Paris. And one organization is helping firefighters and first responders by pairing them up with some excited furry friends. More on that when we come back. If you don't take the elevator, it's 686 steps to climb the Eiffel Tower. This week, a French mountain biker tried and succeeded in riding the monument to the top, the hard way, beating a record time. NTD international correspondent David Vives has the details.
The last steps were the hardest.
Yes! Paris witnessed a breathtaking feat on Thursday as Aurélien Fontenoy, triple vice world champion in mountain bike trial, climbed the Eiffel Tower's 686 steps on his bike in record time. The French rider reached the second floor of the iconic monument in just 12 minutes and 30 seconds, without once putting a foot on the ground.
Hard, but I'm so happy with the outcome. I didn't think I would do it that fast. My goal was to beat the record, so I'm really happy. It really pulls on the shoulders and on the legs. The second section was really tough because you can't pedal at all. The brakes are on the whole time and you just have to keep hoping.
Fontenoy's 8-kilogram saddle-free bike was specially designed to handle extreme obstacles. The Eiffel Tower has long served as a stage for daring performances, from roller jumps to tightrope walks.
The Eiffel Tower is the best monument to climb by stairs in France. It's a great symbol, too.
The attempt, held before the tower opened to the public, was part of his ongoing project, The Climb, which has seen him tackle skyscrapers and towers across Europe. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
Now to Ireland, where a master blacksmith is offering visitors a hands-on glimpse into the country's Celtic past. His farm sits on land that was once home to Ireland's High Kings.
In the shadows of Ireland's ancient hill of Tara, a master blacksmith is reviving Celtic traditions. Once a design engineer, after the COVID-19 pandemic, Tom King traded in his 20-year career to guide visitors through the living history in the Boyne Valley.
It's blueberries with...
King, or An Goa to his guests, dons the traditional attire, teaching ironworking techniques, telling stories by firelight, and walking through woods on the roads to Tara, located 25 miles northwest of Dublin.
We have tangible things you can taste and touch, smell and feel, and that's a big difference versus just standing at a monument and 10 minutes, well, it's time to go.
King believes the myths, tales and painstakingly learned ironwork craft should be protected and passed on to the next generation. While its landscapes, heritage and hospitality remain central to Ireland's tourist offering, King's Forge is a growing trend of people seeking physical experiences as a break from the digital world.
And yet we have all this technology at our disposal, but yet there's so much unhappiness. So there's a kind of a circle where people are going back to basics.
Firefighters and first responders endure immense stress from the dangerous situations they face every day. Now, therapy animals are helping them heal. Thanks to Heidi Carmen and her team at First Responder Therapy Dogs, bringing comfort, calm, and even a few wagging tails.
To fight the fires in California is like a war zone. It's grueling work, it's smoky, it's hot.
See how close it is, guys? Yeah.
It's dangerous. They go for a minimum of 2 weeks, 24 hours on, 24 hours off. That stress, to have it lightened with a therapy dog visit, is priceless. We got Kareth in 2018, and we were training her to become a working guide dog.
Kareth, touch.
She was just too friendly to every single person. So I started doing therapy dog work with her. During the 2020 fire season, going around to fire base camps, she was so good at just making the firefighters feel better. I started posting pictures on her Instagram. Then I was getting messages, can you come to my husband's police department? I'm like, yeah, sure. Now we have hundreds of therapy dog teams across the entire country. We go to fire base camps, fire stations, police departments, 911 dispatch centers. All first responders would benefit.
The average adult male lives around 18 years longer than the average adult police officer. And that is often because of chronic stress. And oftentimes as a defense mechanism, we close up.
Is she just for first responders?
Yeah.
She's so soft. When we are around emotional support animals, you just see that all sort of melt away.
Cortisol levels go down, the endorphin levels go up. I can feel that goodness just coming up the leash.
Just to have a dog come by and she can't talk, can't ask questions, it can kind of break the ice.
Oh, I missed you too. The first time I met Kareth, I had undiagnosed PTSD. She just picked up on it right away. She just went nose to nose with me, and we just had a moment, and it broke me down. This was my wake-up call that I needed to go to therapy. They're man's best friend for a reason.
We have helped so many people. I'm grateful to Kareth for showing me the way.
And that's the news for this evening. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Arlene Richards. Good night.